What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with, well, you guys know what's coming. We have the villain banner incoming tonight, and we're going to talk about this twofold, because there's some interesting stuff going on with this. Number one, and I would say most important, you got to know these units are, like, insane. Like, you want these units. But number two, they've increased the guarantee. They've added 2 extra guarantees to this. Instead of first, 4th, 7th, and 10th, they've added now 15th and 20th to this, which means in your 10 draws, you have 2 extra chances, or 2 extra guaranteed chances to pull one of the 3 units. Now, I'm skeptical about this, but I do understand, like, I've talked to a lot of free-to-play people about this, and a lot of people seem to be of the opinion that this is a really good thing. I remain skeptical, but my decision-making skills... I'm eventually, like, if I don't pull them, I'm just going to throw some money at the game and get them. But I get most people are not going to do that. So let's get in here, let's discuss these units and see if this is actually worthwhile. Now, first things first, Epimetheus. This dude is legit insane, okay? Over 4,000 HP, all right? Physical attack 2124. Like, this is not a question of should you summon. This is a question of how far are you going to go to max this dude out. Now, do you remember, if you don't get him maxed out, you can always drop star bonds in these units. Like, that is an option. So if you, because they're not time limited. So if you have been farming gnome tickets basically since the beginning of this, you probably have quite a few laying around that you can use to max these guys out if you don't max them out on the 20 draws. 20 draws is a lot. Let's put that in perspective for a moment here, okay? That is 2 banners worth of draws, okay? 2 whole banners worth of draws. You're talking 8,000 iris for 3 units. I find that very, 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 very hard to digest. But a lot of people have said they think it's worthwhile. Now, let's talk about what this dude does, because he is absolutely done. So not only has he got crazy HP, good defense, and a crazy physical attack, check out this dude's kit. If you guys didn't see the video yesterday where we actually talked about this, I'm actually discussing situations in which these units could work, okay? So skill 1 is a fast 80% slow, okay? It's a foes plural, fast 80% slow. So now remember, slow is an ailment. That means that if somebody has ailment resistance on, they could avoid that, okay? Now, and it's only 80%. It's not 100%, but that's about, like, the highest you're going to get, really, at least at this point in time, on an ailment. Like, 80% is nuts. But slow is only so effective. And being that, you know, it's not like anti-agility. Anti-agility and anti-slow basically do, or it's, anti-agility and slow basically do the same basic thing. The difference is that slow being an ailment is easy to block, whereas you can't block somebody's agility debuff. You could remove it, but there's only so many units that do that. I don't think there are very many that do that. 1 or 2. I don't remember how many do it, but not very many. And, you know, there's a lot of circumstances in which this dude could be insane. Absolutely insane. But not only does he do that, then, and that's just like the first attack, bear in mind. And then, remember, it does add 4 additional actions. Foes, low dark physical attack with ultra penetration rate, and a 40% chance to seal. So that means on turn 1, you're hitting him with slow. Turn 2, you're hitting him with seal. Turn 3, you're hitting him with seal. Turn 4, you're hitting him with seal. And turn 5, you're hitting them with seal. And then if you play your cards right on turn 5, you're going to hit him again with slow. Now, to be fair, we're talking a wargame build. Most wargame fights aren't going to go that long. Really, that seal is going to be like a turn 2, turn 3 mechanic, and being that it's 40%, you know, statistically, less than half the units on the team are going to get hit with it, if they have any at all. But remember, when a lot of your opponents are running anti-ailment in general, so what you've got, and the whole point in this unit, is to literally just throw ailments at you at like an insane pace, and then just in the infinitesimal hope that one breaks the wall. That's literally the whole point here. So literally every turn, he's hitting you with 1, if not 2 ailments, which is pretty nuts. Okay? But that's just the first skill. We haven't even talked about the second and third skills. Second skill is a foes plural super dark physical attack with ultra penetration and temporary damage boost. Then, for 4 turns, self, strength, dark damage, or strength and dark damage plus 70%. So basically, the long and the short of it is, while that isn't necessarily applied to that attack, remember those buffs basically come on, they're applied during the attack. So your super dark physical attack doesn't necessarily receive the effects of that buff. The effects of that buff basically take place more or less on turn 3, or for that secondary attack, the low dark physical attack, on turn 2, if that's how you happen to use. So basically, you've got 2 different ways you can build this dude, okay? Is you could build him so he's just doing attacks, like hitting hard. That's not really what he's built for, but I'm saying you could, in theory, utilize him for that. So where you just utilize skill 2, go in there. I can't even think of a, well, I don't even know if there's a way you could set him in war games so skill 2 would go off. I'm trying to think if there's a way that he could actually reasonably be set so that skill 2 goes off first. I don't think there is a way to do that. Because even if you have him set to buff, skill 1's going to go off first. Maybe debuff with the AoE resistance is actually the only way. So in theory, you could do that. It's not really the correct way to use this unit, but I'm just throwing that out there. If you've got like a dark team, or let's say later on down the road, dark gets like an insane buff. Because we are going into October, and usually in October we get some dark units. You could, in theory, do that and set that. Not saying it's the correct way to do things. I'm just saying, in theory, you could do it. And then turn 2, they're going to come out of the gate. He's going to come out of the gate, and he's going to hit really, really, really hard. And because the AoE resistance is down, then everybody on the team's going to hit like a truck. Now, the correct way and the way he's kind of designed to be used is the way I was talking about before, where you're just basically using him as like more or less an ailment battering ram. Now, the nice part is if you are throwing him on an ailment team, that means that on turn 3, this dude's, if because ailment teams are kind of designed to be like crazy stall. Like, basically, they're just waiting. They're just basically like, like dragging down the wall brick by brick. Like, literally, they're just trying to tear you down piece by piece and win basically just a long-term battle. So that's kind of what he's designed to do. So then turn 3 comes in when your teams are like, stunned, sealed, or whatever ailments finally make, break through the defenses. Then he's going to come through with like a big crazy hit. And then every AoE hit is going to just hit that much worse. So really, like, this dude is beyond nuts. I know my people that build ailment teams are looking at this guy just salivating. I mark my words. When you go into war game and you see this dude, you're immediately going to regret life. You're going to be like, this is a loss. I'm out. Quit. Peace out. I'm done. You're going to see this dude in Undertale Skira, and you're going to be like, nope. I've had enough. I'm out. Or just skip the fight altogether. So he's going to be pretty bonkers. But he's also going to have utility a little bit beyond that. Because if you notice here, skill 3 is a super dark physical attack with ultra penetration rate. For every strength buff on himself, skill damage plus 70%. So basically, you're going to go like, basically if you're using him as a single target unit, you're going to go skill 2, skill 3, and then kind of spam skill 3 from there. And the reason I'm going to say that is because he's going to get that buff on skill 2, and then skill 3, because you're already going to have strength buffs on there, he's getting 140% damage, and he's going to lifesteal 10% of damage done. So when we've got the EX missions and all that coming up here shortly, he actually might have some great utility for that. We'll see how that plays out, but he's going to be, number 1, an ailment monster. Number 2, a crazy tank, because he's going to get lots and lots and lots of health. Like, basically, if you run this guy, and I'm telling you right now, like, how to just agitate people and make everybody hate you in Wargame, run this dude next to Aphrodite in Wargame. And people will hate you. People will want to find you and will want to do things to you because they're going to hate that team. It is going to be the most toxic pairing in the whole game. But it's going to be bonkers. Those of you guys that pull it off, congrats. And those of you coming up against these teams, I told you so. So his essay then, because we haven't even talked about his essay yet. Foes, Ultra Dark Physical Attack with Ultra Penetration, Temporary Great Strength Boost, applies Poison. So this is the third ailment. And if you play your cards right, you can get this on turn 3. Third ailment in 3 turns that this dude is just throwing at the wall. Okay? So that applies that poison for 4 turns. So let's just say for the sake of argument, turn 1, hit him with slow. Turn 2, hit him with, what is that, seal? Seal. Turn 3, hit him with poison. Turn 4, you're going to hit him with seal and poison. Turn 5, seal, poison, and then you're probably going to have to go back to skill 1. Actually, turn 6 at 4 turns? Yeah. Turn 6, you're going to have to go back to skill 1. So literally, you're talking about turn 6, you're hitting him like 3 times across the face with 3 different ailment. And by that point, literally, and I'm not even joking, by that point, all of their like anti-ailment, unless they like are running an ailment like anklet or something, if they're just running like, you know, the 3 times anti-ailment, by turn 6, like you're literally just going to be beating them down with different ailment. It's going to be bonkers. Now, to be fair, like I said, this is also, you know, talking about with Aphrodite, she's going to be hitting him with Charm too. So they're probably not going to last her turn 4, turn 5. Between these two, they're just going to be kicking the crap out of the opponent. Like, it is just going to be like an absolute dogfight. It's going to be horrible, horrible, horrible. That doesn't even include the ailment resistance drop, his heal, and his life steal of 10% on top of that. This dude is bonkers, guys. Absolutely bonkers. If you don't max this dude out, I promise you, you're going to see him in later battles and you're going to go, oh, why didn't I listen? Dude is nuts. And like I said, he even has a really good single target attack on top of that. So he'll not only be good for Wargame, he'll actually be good, I wouldn't say for Record Buster, but I'll say for like EX missions, things that might be incoming with EX missions tonight, and other things of that nature. Like, this dude is going to be nuts. Counters are Dark Element, and for 4 turns, foe singular, Strength and Magic down 45%. So on top of everything else we talked about he does a 45% debuff when he counters. Could this dude get any more insane? Oh yeah, that's right. Counter damage is up 60%. Penetration damage up 25%. That's not really that abnormal. Strength, endurance, agility, and dex 35%. That's not really crazy. And of course, the usual for dark light resistance 35%. This dude is crazy. Absolutely, like, probably one of the most toxic and insane units I think I can actually think of. Like, remember when, like, those of you guys that were here last year before the anniversary, when that Rage Otaro unit dropped, and he was just dominating everything for the longest time? Yeah, pretty much this is that, turned up to 11, and then, like, I don't know, given horse steroids or something. Like, he is just... I mean, the facial expression says it all, let's be real. Let's talk about Vesta. Now, Vesta is a little more tame in this regard here, okay? HP 3631 is about what we expect to see for a magic unit. Dex slash defense is at, endurance slash defense at 500 is actually pretty high for a magic unit. Not crazy, but I would like to see it a little bit higher, but it's pretty good. Like, it's definitely very good. And then the magic stat at 2015 is just nuts for a magic unit. But let's talk about skills, okay? Because once again, this is another unit that I think you're really going to want. Skill 1 is a high fire magic attack with ultra on guard rate. Life steals 15% of damage done and recovers 20% MP on that skill. Now, bear in mind, that's for herself. That is for herself. And I think I forgot to mention that in yesterday's video. Now, bear in mind, that is a 20% MP regen with a 37 MP cost. We'll get to why that's super important. Skill 2 is a super fire magic attack with ultra critical rate, temporary strength boost, clears strength, magic, agility, endurance, and dex buffs on your opponent, and adds 2 additional actions. Foes low fire magic attack, allies extends buff for 1 turn. So we have a ton of units that actually could use extra buff replication, but we've got a ton of that in the game. This is just another unit that kind of does that. Not the craziest thing, but that buff cleanse on skill 2 is wild. Wild. Wild, wild, wild. Now, that not being a fast skill does not mean that it's going to be like end of the world stuff in Wargame. It's not going to be like the new Lily, but she is going to be pretty awesome. Mark my words on that. Pretty awesome. It does mean that you know, she's going to do it. She's got a good agility, not crazy agility. So she's definitely not going first in anybody's stack that I can think of, unless you're just running like super old units. But in the mid game, or if you've got like a really good agility debuff on your opponents, she could be a game changer. Now, extending buffs for 1 turn is nice. I don't know if it's the end of the world, but it is really nice. The only thing she doesn't have here... Well, okay. Let's get to skill 3 first. Skill 3 is not an attack. Skill 3 is a buff skill. Okay? And it is a fast buff skill. Clears strength, magic, agility, endurance, and dex debuffs. So that means when debuffs are applied to your team, she knocks them out, which is nice. Very nice. Strength, magic, and fire damage plus 35%. Now, that's, again, for all allies. I would love a bigger, like, self-buff for herself. I think she deserves it, but it's just not what she gives herself. And gives the exact same death-saving mechanic like Artie. So, in other words, basically, when she does this, she's going to clear all those debuffs, which is nuts. That is brutal. Absolutely brutal. You do this turn 2, and, like, any debuffs that are applied to your units... And being a fast skill, it's going to happen early. It's probably not going to be the first thing that happens in your buff stack, but it's going to happen pretty early. She's going to go in turn 2, wipe out everybody's debuffs. Then, and that means that actually she would do this after some of those really, really, really early debuffers. So if you plan this out accordingly, she could be pretty insane, honestly. Does a little bit of a buff, but then... like coats everybody basically in like 1 single death saving throw. So if they have over 10% health and they take like a major hit, like what would normally be a killing blow, they'll survive that killing blow. Now, it won't save them for the next one, but it'll save them for the first one, which will be really nice. Really awesome unit. I mean, I hate to say like it's unimpressive, but here's my thing. Like, I'm comparing her to the last dude, and like she's really good. Like, she's literally good. Like, those people that are running Artie right now in Wargame are going to replace her with Vesta. Completely, 100%. Artie is out of the picture. She has been 100% usurped, and she's probably never going to have a use again. She does have a good buff, good debuff, but, I mean, I really feel like the skill 3 is going to usurp that completely. And the fact that even though it's a high MP cost, you use skill 1, and you're basically back in it. So I really feel like she's going to take Artie completely out of the picture. Artie is... I'm not going to say it. Those that were here for the 3rd anniversary know exactly what I'm thinking, and it is completely unfair to say. Her SA. Foes, plural, ultra fire magic attack for every strength, magic, and agility, endurance, and dex buff on foe. Skill damage plus 20%. I talked about this yesterday. If you play your cards right when she does this SA... that gives you a 200% bonus. Now, to be fair, every single one of those stats needs to be replicated on the assist side. And that might not necessarily be the case, but if you build your team right, you build it to use this SA, absolutely. That will be a major hit, a big, hard, crazy hit. And on top of that, clears all strength, magic, agility, endurance, and dex, debuffs, and cleanses all ailments. That means if Epimetheus is facing her and she gets her SA off, she's the only thing I can think of in the game that somewhat neutralizes what he does. That's it. You're looking at the one unit that could potentially neutralize him. That is all. Counters are fire element, which isn't nuts. All elemental resist plus 35% when countering. Magic agility and dex plus 35%. Guard damage reduction plus 30%. And recovers 5% HP and MP per turn. So everything's about trying to get that skill 3 off again. You should be able to get about 2, maybe 3 of those before you have to use skill 1. You're going to be stretching for 3. You're going to get out 2 of those off before you have to do skill 1 again. And you're probably going to go like, you know, you're going to do like skill 2, skill 3, skill 1, skill 3. And then if it's not done by then, SA and hope for the best. But I don't want to downplay her. It's just in comparison to the last dude, she doesn't seem insane, but believe me, this unit is bonkers. Bonkers. Slightly more tame, but I think she's like definitely going to see like an insane amount of use in Wargame. Like both of these units are going to be nuts for Wargame. Let's talk about Prometheus. All right. Prometheus is the assist on the banner. Okay. With 1,000 HP, and of course I want to mention that these stats are all at max limit break. Remember, like, they're going to go down significantly in both percentage and these solid numbers when they're, you know, between level 60 and level 80. So you do want to plan your builds accordingly. But with the assists, your goal is always, always, always to max these units out. So when we're getting, like, the heroic trial and all that, I'm always going to tell you, like, Prometheus is probably a better buy for your gem. 1078 HP. Physical attack and magic attack aren't great. Defense is okay, but her agility stat is really good. Not the greatest, but really good. Now, here's the deal. Her skill. Foes, plural. Strength, magic, endurance, and dex. Down 15%. The only thing she doesn't decrease is agility. Everything else is decreased. 3 activated abilities. Okay? And remember, this is like every turn you're going to get one of these, and it's basically when you get attacked. When taking damage, allies guard rate, counter rate, and heal plus 50%. So literally get 50% guard rate, counter rate, and heal. Heal is incredibly important. Let me kind of explain why that is nuts for Wargame. Okay? When you get like Haruhime or Artie, even though I kind of said Artie is kind of old news, when you get any one of those units on your team, that's the only thing that I will say that Vesta is missing is the... oh, no. I forgot. She does do counter healing. I completely forgot she does do counter healing. So there you go. So when Vesta does her 10% counter heal, she actually do like a 15% counter heal, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is going to be massive, massive. Literally, that's the difference between taking 10 turns to fully restore health and like, well, half that number. So, yeah, she is going to keep you in the game. On top of all the debuffs, that right there is going to be nuts. Now, bear in mind, whoever she's tied to has to get attacked. Now, when you're in Wargame, and this is mainly what she's built for, most of your attacks are AoE. So she's going to get attacked turn 1, that's going to get activated, and everybody's going to get the skill. You're really talking, remember I talked about how Wargame is kind of designed to go, you know, only a few turns? This unit is kind of relying on the fact that Wargame's only going to last 3 turns. Because after 3 turns, she kind of becomes useless. Now, there is something to be said for maybe bringing her in as a sack unit or something of that nature, but with an agility stat like that, you probably will most likely be running this unit frontline. Most likely running frontline. But, that said, all 3 of these units are musts. Now, should you go all 8,000 Iris on this? I have about 5,000 in my name. I don't think I'm going to go more than 4 in this, because I want to save something for stuff coming up. After that, I'm going to see where I stand, and I'm going to consider throwing star bonds at this. Now, I might change my mind on that, depending on how much extra Iris and all the stuff that we get. But for right now, I would say heavily consider your star bond usage before you go past 10. I'm not saying don't go past 10. I'm just saying heavily, heavily, heavily consider. This is still double rates, but remember it's double rates including all units from like the past year. So you could get crap. You're only guaranteed to get new units, what? 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th, 15th, and 20th. You're only guaranteed 6 new units. I mean, basically, you could plus 1 each one of these units if you go all 8 in. So, play your cards intelligently. Utilize everything at your disposal before you go nuts. That's me the video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section. And I don't know if I'm going to be live tonight to do some polls. I'm trying to work that out. As you can tell, I'm feeling a lot better. But I will do my best. If nothing else, we'll definitely record it and have it available tonight. But I am going to work hard on being live, at least for maybe a half hour or so we can get these draws done. But that's going to be the video, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one.